Hello students, welcome to lesson 17 on trigonometry. I hope you are all doing well. Good. Now before we begin our lesson, let's take note of the following announcements. After watching this video, if you realize that there was a concept you did not understand, please do not hesitate to give me a call for further explanation and clarification. My number is on the flyer on your screen. Pick the number up and give me a call. On the flyer also you can see that I run online tuition in core maths, elective maths and elective chemistry. So if you are in need of these services, or if you know someone who is in need of these services, please give my number to him or her for the person to call. Okay? Right. That was just by the way. Good. So now let's begin our main business. Good. So the last time we met, we looked at angles in standard position. So we looked at the definition and then we drew some angles in standard position. And then I gave you an assignment. I hope you've all done the assignment. Good. That is very good. Right. So we'll begin our lesson today with solution to the assignment. Now we were to sketch the following angles in standard position. So 45 degrees, 135 degrees, 225 degrees, and 315 degrees. Good. And I hope you've done that. Right. Good. Now before you draw or you sketch the following angles in standard position, it's advisable for you to know the quadrant within which the angle will fall. Okay? So for you to sketch an angle of 45 degrees in standard position, you should know the quadrant within which an angle of 45 degrees will fall. You should know the quadrant within which an angle of 135 degrees will fall. You should know that of 225 degrees and 315 degrees. So if you know it beforehand, you'll be able to draw the angle or sketch the angle easily and quickly. Okay, so that is what you have to bear in mind before you draw. Good. So now let's look at the solution. Good. So we have an angle of 45 degrees. Now 45 degrees is an acute angle, so it should fall between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. So that is why it is in the first quadrant, because the initial arm is 0 degrees and this y-axis level here, that is from the 0 degrees to this angle, the measure is 90 degrees. So once it is 45 degrees, it should be between 90 and it should be between 0 and 90 degrees. So that is why it is in the first quadrant. Good. Now when we come to 135 degrees, this is the terminal arm and this is the initial arm. So the terminal arm is in the second quadrant. So the angle 135 degrees in standard position will fall in the second quadrant. Now it is also in the second quadrant because it is an angle between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. It is an angle between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. So we can say it is an obtuse angle. So all obtuse angles are in the second quadrant. All obtuse angle, when you draw it in standard position, it will fall in the second quadrant. And then all acute angle will fall in the first quadrant. I hope you are okay. Good. So let's move on. Good. Now we have 225 degrees. So from the initial arm to this point is 90 degrees. From this to this is 180 degrees. So we have our 180 degrees. we need what? 225. So we have to look for the additional angle that we have to add to 180 degrees for us to get what? 225. And this will be this what? Acute angle here. So from here to here will give us the measure of what? 225. So you realize that the angle 225 is between 180 degrees and 270 degrees. So that is why it is in the what? The third quadrant. Okay, that is why it's in the what? The third quadrant. Good. Then the final one, the angle 315 degrees. So from the initial arm, you turn anti-clockwise to this point. Okay, so from here to here will give us what? 315 degrees. Okay, 315 degrees. So our terminal arm is in the fourth quadrant, and for that matter, our angle 315 is in the what? The fourth quadrant, and it is between 270 degrees and 360 degrees. It's between 270 degrees and 360 degrees. Okay, good. So in summary, if the angle is between 0 and 90 degrees, which is an acute angle, it will fall in the what? The first quadrant. If the angle is between 90 degrees and 180 degrees, which is an obtuse angle, will fall within the what? The second quadrant. And if it is an angle between 180 degrees and 270 degrees, it will fall within what? The third quadrant. And finally, if it is an angle between 270 degrees and 360 degrees, it will fall within what? The fourth quadrant. Good. So students, this is the solution to the assignment. Cross-check it with yours, and where you were not able to get it, make sure you do the correction. Good. So that is about the assignment. Now today we are going to look at a topic which is also in relation to angles in what? In standard position. Okay, it's a topic which is also in relation to angles in standard position. Right. So our topic for lesson 17 is reference angle. Reference angle. Reference angle. So what is a reference angle? What is a reference angle? Right, so let's look at the definition. A reference angle is the acute angle formed. Okay, a reference angle is the acute angle formed between the terminal arm and the x-axis when an angle is in standard position. I'm taking it again. A reference angle is the acute angle formed between the terminal arm and the x-axis when an angle is in standard position. Good. So we already know when an angle is in what? In standard position. Okay, so when an angle is drawn in standard position, we know how it looks like. But this definition is telling us that there is another angle also formed anytime an angle is drawn in what? Standard position. There is another angle formed, but that angle is what? An acute angle. That angle is what? An acute angle. And we can see that angle between the terminal arm. Okay, the terminal arm of the angle in the original angle in standard position, and what? The x-axis. And the x-axis. Good. So first of all, the angle should be in standard position. Second is that we should see an angle which is an acute angle between the terminal arm and what? The x-axis, for us to say that that angle is what? A reference angle. Okay. So there are two angles involved here. Okay. The angle which is in standard position, that's the actual angle, and then the what? The reference angle. So for convenience sake, okay, let's use principal angle for the main angle in standard position, and then reference angle for what? The reference angle of that principal angle in what? In standard position. Okay, good. So let's look at specific example so that we get the understanding. Good. So, for instance, if I have this angle here, let's say, let me put 40 degrees. Okay, so 40 degrees, what we see here is a 40-degree angle in what? Standard position. Okay, so the 40 degrees we'll use as what? The principal angle, so which is P. So the 40 degrees is the principal angle. Now we want to find out the reference angle of this principal angle. We want to find the reference angle of this principal angle. And from the definition, okay, from the definition of a reference angle, it is the acute angle formed between the terminal arm and the x-axis. Okay, it is the acute angle formed between the terminal arm and the x-axis when an angle is in standard position. So this 40 degrees is in standard position. What is the terminal arm? This is it. Okay, now where is the x-axis? This is it. Okay, can we see any angle which is an acute angle between the terminal arm and then the x-axis? Yes, this is the terminal arm, this is the x-axis. There is an angle between the terminal arm and the x-axis, and this angle is what? 40 degrees. Okay, so what it means is that when the angle is in the first quadrant, okay, its reference angle is the same as what? The angle. So angles in the first quadrant, okay, angles in the first quadrant have their what? Reference angle as the what? The angle itself. Good. So here, R being the reference angle will also be what? 40 degrees. So the principal angle is the same as what? The reference angle when an angle is in the what? First quadrant. Okay, when an angle is in the first quadrant. I hope that is clear. Good. Now let's come here. Good. So let's say this angle here is 120 degrees. Okay, 120 degrees. Good. So our P, that is the principal angle, is what? 120 degrees. Now I want to find the what? The reference angle. We want to find the reference angle. So from the definition, the reference angle is what? The acute angle formed, okay, between the terminal arm and the x-axis when an angle is in what? Standard position. Good. So the angle which is in standard position here is what? 120 degrees. So that is what we are calling our what? Our principal angle, that is P. Good. Now, when this principal angle is drawn in standard position, okay, there is an acute angle formed between the terminal arm of that principal angle and the what? The x-axis. Okay, so this is the x-axis, and then this is the terminal arm. So we can see an angle between the x-axis and the terminal arm, which is what? This angle. Okay, the angle here from here to here. Okay, that is from here to here, this side to this side. Let me use a different color. Okay, so this side to this side, from here to here, okay, is the what? The reference angle. That is the acute angle between the what? The initial, the terminal arm, which is this one, okay, and the what? The x-axis. So this angle here is the what? The reference angle. Okay, good. So what will be the value of that? What will be the value? Good. 60 degrees. Good. 60 degrees. How did you get the 60? How did you get the 60? Tell me. Okay, there are two ways. One, this is a straight angle. Okay, so this is a straight angle. So angles on a straight line sum up to what? 180 degrees. So if you are having from here to here as 120, then it means that from here to here will be what? Will be 60, because when we subtract 120 from 180, we'll get what? 60 degrees. So when we subtract 120 from what? 180, we'll get what? 60 degrees. Okay, so that is it. That is it. The other way is that we can take this one as what? 90. Only this part. So if this is 90, then it means that the small angle here will be what? 30, because 30 plus 90 will give us what? 120. So if this is 30, this place will be what? 60 degrees. So the reference angle here is what? 60 degrees. I hope you get it. Good. So this place will be what? 60 degrees. So the reference angle to the 120 degrees is what? 60 degrees. So this one we get it by subtracting the main angle, that is the principal angle, from what? 180 degrees. Good. So let's move on. Let's move on. Good. So we have this one also. So from here to here. Good. So our angle is in the what? The third quadrant. Our angle is in the third quadrant. Our angle is in the third quadrant. So let's say the angle is 210 degrees. 210 degrees. Good. Now we want the reference angle to this angle. We want the reference angle to this angle. Good. We want the reference angle to this angle. So per the definition, this is the terminal arm, which is this. Okay. And then there is what? The x-axis. So we have to check, is there any angle between the x-axis and the terminal arm, which is acute? Yes, there is. Okay, so x-axis, terminal arm. So this angle here is the acute angle, which is what? The reference angle to what? This principal angle. Good. So let's check the value. So the principal angle here is what? 210 degrees. And then its reference angle is what? This small angle here. Okay. So if it is 210 degrees, what will be the value of the small angle here? Good. So to do that, there are also two ways. From here to here, that is, the 210 consists of a straight angle and then an acute angle. So the straight angle we know it measures what? 180 degrees. Good. So what acute angle must be added to 180 degrees for you to get 210 degrees? It's what? It's just 30 degrees. Good. 30 degrees. So the reference angle to the principal angle, which is 210 degrees, is what? 30 degrees. So you can do it that way, or better still, you can subtract the straight angle from the what? The principal angle. So when you subtract 180 from 210, you get what? 30 degrees. So when you subtract 180 degrees from 210 degrees, you get what? 30 degrees. So the reference angle to an angle of 210 degrees is what? 30 degrees. I hope you are following. Good, 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 good. Right. So now let's look at the final one. The final one. Good. So this is our principal angle. We want our what? Our reference angle. We want our reference angle. We want our reference angle. So from the definition, we should locate the what? The terminal arm of the principal angle, which is this one. Okay. Then we have to also look for the x-axis. So this is the x-axis. This is the x-axis. Good. Now we have to look for whether there is an angle formed between the x-axis and the terminal arm. Yes. So this is the terminal arm, this is the x-axis, and there is an angle here, okay, between them. Okay, the angle here between them. So terminal arm, x-axis, angle between them. So the angle here, which is an acute angle, is the what? The reference angle to what? Our bigger what? Angle, which is the principal angle. Good. So if the angle here, we are taking it as 300 degrees, okay, 300 degrees, then it means that from here, we know that from here to here is 90, to here is 180, to here is 270. So there is a small angle here, which when we add to 270, we get what? 300, which is what? 30 degrees. So if the small angle here is 30 degrees, now what would be the angle here? What would be the angle here? Tell me. 60 degrees. Good, you are right. 60 degrees. Good, 60 degrees. So here, our reference angle is what? Is 60 degrees. Our reference angle is this angle here. Okay? From here to here is the reference angle, because this is the angle between the terminal arm and what? The x-axis. So it's not the 30, but what? The 60 here. So don't get confused. It is the angle formed between the terminal arm and the x-axis, not the what? The y-axis. Okay, so don't get confused by saying that the reference angle is 30. No, the reference angle is the angle between the terminal arm and the what? The x-axis. So this is the x-axis, this is the terminal arm. The acute angle is here, okay, between them. Here, this is the terminal arm, this is the x-axis. The acute angle is what? Is here. Okay, good. So what will be the value? You've seen that it is what? 60 degrees. So for a P of 300 degrees, the R, which is the reference angle, will be what? 60 degrees. 60 degrees. Good. So this one also, we can get it by subtracting the 300 from what? 360 degrees. When you subtract 300 degrees from 360 degrees, you get what? 60 degrees. Okay, good. So that is what? The reference angle. That is the reference angle. So when an angle is in standard position, you can easily find the reference angle by looking at the terminal arm and by looking at the angle formed between the terminal arm and the what? The x-axis, the acute angle to be precise. So the focus is on the acute angle between the terminal arm and the what? The x-axis. Good. So students, this is where we'll end our lesson on reference angle. Okay, I hope you've gotten the concept. Good. So now that you've gotten the concept, I'll have to leave you with an assignment for you to build your confidence more. Okay, good. So let's look at the assignment. Let's look at the assignment. Good. So it's very simple. Find the reference angle of the following angles. Find the reference angle of the following angles. Good. So do this. The next time we meet, we'll look at the solution. Right. So, till we meet again, revise, read ahead. Bye.